You're listening to The People's Pitch, the official podcast of Minneapolis City Soccer Club, brought to you by footballstadiumprints.com. Let's start the show.
And as I talked about just a couple minutes ago, as Joe Watt stands over this one, he appears to be the one taking the penalty here. This is a huge confidence booster if you're Duluth.
Worst case scenario for City right here.
And it stopped! Yes! And it stopped!
Totally redeems himself.
Matt Elder redeeming himself. Oliver with the right foot. The shot of the goal!
Oliver!
And Justin Oliver will break the scoreless tie. And it is 1-0 Minneapolis City. Is Hutton now on the offense with the left foot. And it is now 2-0 Minneapolis City.
Good finish.
Nick Hutton taking his quick victory lap.
Welcome back, folks, to the People's Pitch podcast, the official podcast of your Minneapolis City Soccer Club. I'm your host, John, and yes, I'm still battling this pesky sinus infection, but it did not hold me back from last week's show or doing the broadcast of the match on Saturday. So I am here for you, the people. And also here for you, the people, is my co-host, the Nate Morales. Nate, it's starting to be that time of season where scenarios start to kind of be concocted and brought up and come into the fold. Don't you just love this time of year?
Yeah, I don't know. We've had like 6 games of what I think is like the easiest emotional soccer. Like the first couple games, you get real worried. Like, is this really going to happen this year? Like, are we really going to show up like we think we're going to show up? And then it's now that we're just like, okay, well, are we going to close this thing down, or are we going to be able to finish strong? So it's definitely getting a little more. I'm getting a little more nervous or a little more antsy about it, but it's exciting, and we've got a couple of really good games coming up. That's really gonna set us up for the rest of the summer. Hopefully,
you gotta just plug that CBD, man. Just chill out.
Well, I mean, speaking of the 6 good weeks of soccer, we had one really good week this last week, and we'll talk about it. Valora, the UPSL team went and played Valora, so we've got that recap, and what that means is that we are UPSL Midwest champs there, so that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
And then we'll talk a little bit about what's next up for the UPSL. We'll recap the big victory as Sioux Falls visited the Nelly, and then we're going to talk about what's going on in the NPSL North. A lot of possibilities, and a lot of weirdness, a lot of possibilities, and a lot of them were looking like Minneapolis City is going to end up on top. Mostly because coming to town on Saturday is Lacrosse Eris, and then we've got a big Wednesday game, midweek game up in Duluth that could pretty much cut it all fairly early. So let's get that fun going. But first, we got a question from a listener. It's like old times, John. Like we noted last week, our resident unofficial content creator, Bryn Shank, came at us with a question, and Bryn said, with the announcement of the new women's team in USL, how do you think that at all is going to impact City's future women's team? John, why don't you take this one, because I'm not super versed on the ecosystem of the women's soccer around here.
Well, why don't you take it, Nate, in that case?
I wonder.
No, great question, Bryn. I know it's probably on the top of a lot of folks' mind because, we had voted during the COVID year to greenlight the planning process for the women's team. That has not really changed as a result of this decision. Excuse me. We're grown up now, Bryn. We used to just be like, men's team, let's do it. Women's team, let's do it. U23s, reserve side, let's do it. Now we're in the mode of where we're being very strategic about any of the decisions we make, and that includes the women's team. We kind of drew on a little bit of what our buddy Jonathan Wardlaw in Little Rock, Arkansas, kind of told us when he was on, because when we had him on, if you want to go back to that episode and listen, they had actually just greenlit and actually had their first half season of the female team in their club. And he talked a lot about the growing pains of that and all the things that he didn't anticipate, because it's not the same. It's the same game, but it's not the same league structures and organizational pieces that you need to have. the men's side has that they've been successful at. So we're being very strategic about it. We're not gonna just all of a sudden start jumping into stuff and being reactive or overly active. We're going to do our due diligence, and if this is as important of a thing as we think it is, then we want to make sure that we're doing it the right way. So to answer your question, I don't feel that this is going to impact that at all.
Well, there we go.
There you go. Unless you have any thoughts, Nate.
No, I mean, I think it's nice to know that we're still in the planning phases, right? So we can still adjust, we can still adapt if there's new teams in the league or new teams in the area. We can still make plans to work with them or work around them.
Yeah, exactly. And the one thing we have to think about too is that the Futures program, albeit I'll just call it massively successful because I think that's an accurate statement. It has been in year one. I know there's growing pains in it, but it's been overly successful. We're not even done with that. So to get into to all of a sudden just put all of our emphasis on being reactive to a decision that was made somewhere else, it's just not smart of us. So we're going to, we still got two teams vying for, one that just won a championship and one that's vying for one. And then we have the Futures program that's wrapping up. So there's a lot on our plates. So we're going to continue to do all the due diligence that we had started at the beginning of the year and just stay the course.
We talked to a lot of coaches over the course of the preseason between Prunty and Tori and Allie, and they all kind of said the same thing too, that like women's soccer here is just so good. Like the talent level is there. And so if we can succeed with a program like the Futures, we're going to be able to find the players it's going to take to be successful in a women's league for sure.
Yep, absolutely. Well, hopefully that answered your question or didn't answer your question. Sorry, Bryn. But we're on to what's happening right now. So with a lot on the line, Minneapolis City 2 went on the road to face previous league champions Valora FC in Richfield, Minnesota last weekend with a chance to bring home the club's first hardware of the post-pandemic world, Nate. And you already kind of spilled the beans in the intro, but they didn't make it easy on themselves. But before we dive into the starters and how the game went, congratulations are definitely in order to not only the squad, but Coach Prunty and Coach Kevin Liban. Congratulations on bringing home a trophy in your first year, not only in the organization, but your first year in a league, in a conference. We know that team, has a little bit more of a revolving door than does the MPSL team. Also, hats off to Jeremiah Johnson from the Futures program. A lot of the players that were involved this season that were impactful in early on, coming on of late, are Futures players that are supplementing into that roster to kind of round it out for Coach Prunty. So a lot of congratulations to go around, and hopefully we can drink out. Apparently COVID's over, so once the sinus infection goes away, I'm going to start drinking out of that trophy if people want to come join me. But anyway, starters for that match: Mitch Wolf in goal, Will Orser, and Ethan Anderson unchanged in the back line. Nathan Streets, your guy,
the mean streets,
got the start at rounding out the back three. Connor Axos made his return back into the side with Abdi Kadi in the middle and Scotty Heinen moving back out wide, which I mentioned last week, I think is actually one of his positions of strength. Abai Habat and McCray Drong in the middle. Seems like that combination has started to form a good partnership for Coach Prunty. And then up top, our dynamic partnership that has been Cole Schwartz and Derek Coleman. Then as far as the bench goes, new Futures call up, Jacek Nikowski, Adnan Jill, Stevie Lamar, who is another addition to the team that's been in training. He's a Creighton product, and he's back in town. So he made his debut. Esteban Badillo, Nils Gil Brunson, Jacob Popkin, Nick Sikowski, and Stephen Wright. So if you're looking at the starting lineup and then you're looking at the guys on the bench, it's much like the MPSL squad. Like if you're the other team, you're thinking, oh man, the depth that they brought today is one that they're trying to win that championship, and we're sitting in their way. The game got off to a pretty hot start an early set of chances for both of the up front duo of Cole Schwartz and Derek Ullman. But the Valora goalkeeper was surprisingly on the spot to keep City off the board early. But after trading shots, a midfield giveaway found a gap in between the midfield and the back line for City that just happened to have Valora numbers in because, they probably were just, I mean, lack of a better way to describe it, kind of lollygagging back, and then a quick turnover all of a sudden was like, oh shit, we have numbers up because we didn't get back on defense. And it was a little bit too much to stop, overmatch the City back line. And it was another case of, and it seems to be a lot of the cases of the goals that have happened this year. A lot of the goals that happened against Minneapolis City have been the case of Mitch really didn't have an opportunity to even try to make a save. Like a lot of bang stuff or things from angles that he couldn't get to because either it was a well-placed shot or it happened so quickly. He was really unable to contribute to it. So this one, he gave it his best effort, but it was another one of those that snuck by him because of how it, materialized. So it's 1-0 to the home side, and that's how it stood until halftime.
Yeah, down one. Down 0-1 at half. I mean, City's seen that before across a couple teams. That's happened to us. It happened to us against Duluth, right? But the way seems to be you spend the time that you need to spend playing our game, absorbing whatever the other team can throw at us, and then making those adjustments. And City went off in the second half. They were able to make those adjustments, that's for sure.
Yeah, you're correct. I think the best part about what both senior teams in our club have shown and also our futures when they've gone into 11-a-side games, they were down against Minnesota United and came back. They gave up early goals against St. Cloud, early goals against MC2. So they've also done it. But all three programs underneath our banner have shown the style of play that we're trying to put out there. And when you go down at the half, it just really takes staying calm and patient and keeping the ball and moving the other team around when maybe they're a little bit higher on their horse because they are up, a little bit more jacked up, maybe a little bit more prone to a mistake early because they have the energy that just got shot into them by coming off at half with into a break with with a lead. But then you start picking your spots, right? And then you start looking at where you can attack. And then maybe you've been setting things up all first half, and they're going to materialize in the second half, which is what we've seen. So no need to explain really a lot of details about the second half. Flora came back down to earth from their first half, and the Rookery turned the other page and pounded home goals in an equalizer from Abdi Khadi, getting on the score sheet for the first time this year. The eventual game winner from the team's leading goal scorer, Cole Schwartz. And then the nail in the conference, we'll call it, by futures call-up and new St. Thomas transfer, Jacek Nikowski. And I'll mention him a little bit. Came through to the futures program, recent transfer from Old Dominion University into St. Thomas. He's from Wisconsin. He's actually the all-time leading goal scorer in Wisconsin high school state history.
Wow.
So I had seen him play in the 7-a-sides, and I was like, yeah, this guy can play. And then I went to senior team training, MPSL training on Tuesday this week, and he was there. And I was like, oh, damn. Like, he must be doing something right if he's been invited into the first team training. And watching him play, physically still a little bit on the younger side. He's a little bit smaller, but the dude can play. And he's already risen through scoring a goal in a very important game for us. And I look at it a lot like potentially like what Eli Goldman provided in 2019, where it's like that one guy who just all of a sudden pops into the mix, and you're like, yeah, this could be helpful if we need it. And I think that's Jacek. So yeah, a little bit on him. But yeah, I mean that's pretty much how it ended. The victory meant, as you noted, MC2 clinched the UPSL Midwest West Conference title. I believe that's what it's called. With one game to go on the season. So next game is up tomorrow or today, if you're listening to this on a Friday. Friday night at the Nelly, Edor Nelson Field at the campus of Augsburg University, 7 p.m. versus Turbo Sports, who currently sits in last place in the division with 1 win, 1 draw, and 5 losses. So This is a huge chance to finish regular season undefeated in its first year, which is so awesome to say. So get out, get loud, and help City 2, the Rookery, tip their cap on the on conference play before hopefully kind of coiling up and getting ready to unload in the playoffs.
Yeah. What's the story with the playoffs, John? Do we know when those are going to start?
I mean, honestly, dude, the conference is kind of a mess, as you can probably imagine. So we'll have those details coming out. I'm kind of loosely on the fringes of what Adam's working on with the league and the conference, and it's been a little bit of a mess. Yeah, surprise, right? So he's kind of been throwing some information our way, but nothing is 100% finalized yet. So as soon as we have that, most likely next week's show, we'll be able to talk through that. Right. But while all of that was going down, while Prunty was leading his men to victory, the MPSL squad was putting another brick in the foundation of a championship season, potentially, Nate, as the Sioux Falls Thunder rolled into town, which is always surprisingly like a huge draw in the stands. I don't know why, but it is. Potentially they just travel well. No Nigel's mom, though. That kind of sucked.
Yeah, that does suck.
But it happened again. Nice big crowd. Nice night for soccer. And I'm glad they came out because they saw a good one. As far as the starting lineup goes, lots of changes. And we talked about the need for that last week, and we'll talk about it again here when we wrap this segment up. But in goal, Troy Lewegi got the start. Matt Murakami, Jack Berry, Max Kent, and Charlie Adams across the back line. Steve made his return back into the starting lineup, as did Max Stigwart and Brian Lopez in the middle. And then your front trio that just seems to be having a field day this season in Lionel Vang, Will Kidd, and Mito Youssef, who we'll find out here in a bit, all got on the sheet. So
that's for sure.
That's good to hear. And then as far as off the bench, Aiden O'Driscoll, Samuel Ruiz-Plaza, Gato, Kevin Andrews, Dominic Mesjin, Miles Stockton-Willis, and the return of club captain off the injury list, Aaron Olson, which is great to see him out there finally getting back into playing shape.
Absolutely. Both him and Samo, really good to see out there. I'll tell you what, John, the way this game started, I don't know. We had, what game was it where if we felt like City had maybe 75 to 80% of the possession in the second half? Med City?
Like pretty much all of them.
Yeah. I mean, City, they've got the lion's share of possession. We've got the attacking prowess going early. Sioux Falls did show flashes of danger when the attack was going through Storm, Stevenson Storm. They're one of their forwards.
I thought also Ayudele on the other side. I thought he was in offsides a couple times, but they were very close. But I think you're right. Like Stevenson Storm was like the bright spot for them early on.
And the ball movement, I think, for City felt really effortless. I think 2 early giveaways are really where the danger came from. A couple passes to nowhere that led to attacks that caused chaos in the box. It was a little worrisome. We were kind of felt like we didn't quite have it together yet. Is it easy to switch off in low danger situations like that?
Yeah, it's real easy, especially when you have the ball, because like no one's pressuring you. And we talked about it on the broadcast, where a lot of that game for Sioux Falls was just getting moved around back and forth, like 8 to 10 to 15 pass combinations, and just getting tired. And that can also tire out the team with the ball to a certain extent. And I think that's where like we just got a little complacent with some of the passes. And it just happened to be that Sioux Falls was just tired of moving and they were just like in the way and they were able to like intercept something. It was kind of like where, like Max, I'm not picking on Max in particular, but like there was one giveaway that Max did have where it was a situation where like he thought that the defender was actually going to be somewhere else. Like normally a defender would probably be somewhere else, and the guy was just standing there and he passed the ball right to him. It was like that, that kind of situation.
Yeah. And I can't remember who we've talked to a player about that too, that sometimes it's really difficult when you're playing, all of a sudden you realize that the level is a little lower than you expected and you're ready to go faster, and the rest of the world isn't going quite as fast. And
I think it was Steve. You
end up making some mistakes like that. I think a couple other times looked like Troy might not have been ready to trust his line yet. Maybe communication was an issue. He had some scary moments in the first half when you could tell he wasn't on the same page with Jonah and Max on when he when he should or would come out, right? Which put him in a couple awkward positions, but if anything, the veteran defenders were always able to put themselves in the right position and give Troy the seconds that he needed to recover and get back into his spot.
Yep. And actually, I believe you mean Jack and Max.
That's what I meant. Yeah, Jack Barry. Sorry. Not
Sorry,
Jonah.
You didn't play.
As far as the Sioux Falls team, only 17 traveled, which kind of sucks for them. City was definitely content, like we said, to keep possession, really not give them a sniff of the ball for long periods of time. And during those times, like Troy was back there, I'll say Ederson-esque. Like he's standing like
he was
35, 45, 40 yards out from net. He's that final distribution valve for when Sioux Falls did decide they wanted to do any pressing of our back two, who were pretty much sitting on the midfield line. It looked like really comfortable soccer in that first half. We just for some reason, could not find a goal. We had so many chances. Sioux Falls benefited from missed open headers, missed volleys from short range, lucky bounces in the box on set pieces. Like it could have been, it could have been like 3-0, 4-0 by the time Lionel Vang finally got loose on a really delicious through ball from Max Stewart. And he made no doubt about it. He laced a shot into the upper left, and City was up 1-0 at halftime. Probably really feeling really good about how they were controlling that game.
I think so, but I think, and we'll talk about it in the keys to victory coming up here for the Aris game. I think it was probably a little bit. It changed the conversation at halftime. Clearly, we now have a lead, and let's just keep going. But I think there was a little bit of an air of disappointment that it wasn't 3 or 4-0. When we're gonna have to, if we do make the playoffs, which it's looking like that could be a chance. When we get out of our conference, and even whoever we might face in our conference, if we don't get a bye, we're gonna have to score early goals because it just you never know what you're gonna face in the playoffs, right? Like it's not like we know what like Joy the People's gonna throw at us. It's like what's Cleveland gonna throw at us? What what could potentially a Milwaukee Torrent throw at us? So we really got to start getting on the front foot a little earlier.
That's for sure. Especially against teams like this. It's good practice, right?
Yep.
But the game really opened up as Sioux Falls started chasing that lead. 5 minutes into the second half, the goals started to really get poured on. Mito caused all sorts of chaos in the box. He drew almost every defender to him as he was trying to make a run on goal. And he was able to fend them all off. And then he just kind of tapped the ball back to a wide open Brian Lopez, who let her fly and put City up 2-0. I mean, he wound up for that one, John.
Well, and he wound up for it, but he picked his spot. I mean, that was there was a no doubter in the corner.
Yeah, it was really nice. By that third goal, it was clear that Sioux Falls had really nothing left in the tank after we had just been making them chase that ball for 75 minutes. We just started piling on the Pride Raiser donations, right? Kevin Andrews gets denied one-on-one by the keeper, but John, this is crazy to me as I was watching the highlights again. His two defenders were so lackadaisical in getting back. He had time to collect his own deflected shot basically off the end line, dribble over to the net, and pick his spot again one-on-one with the keeper. Meanwhile, the defender who got left in the dust is just kind of walking over to maybe cover for a back post chip. I don't know what that guy was doing. It would look like a FIFA glitch.
Well, I think what happened was that was actually Omari, their captain, who I actually thought had a really great game. He stopped a lot of those early chances by some sliding stops, and getting deflections on some things to go out for corners instead of going in the back of the net. What happened on that one was that Kevin had perfectly timed his run, and the through ball, I believe, was from Dom Mesjin, I want to say. The through ball completely beat the defenders, and by the time he turned around to be able to try to catch Kevin, he tripped because he just walked back. And you're right. Then by the time he realized that he could maybe help out, he kind of jogged over, and Kevin had already had a spot picked out.
Yep. So after that, I don't know. It just felt like goals from Kidd, another one from Andrews. Really, we're putting the city stamp on this one. Will Kidd denied. I think it went crossbar, right? And he was able to stick around in the box and stay dangerous, and picked out another pass from Gato, I think it was.
No, it's from AO.
Oh, from AO. Oh, that okay. And
oh no, you're talking about Will Kidd's goal. Sorry.
Yep.
That was Kevin Andrews' goal was the was the one that AO had. Yeah, it was Will Kidd's goal was I think unassisted.
Oh, okay.
He kind of just collected the ball and then just did what Will Kidd does.
Yeah, and then that Kevin Andrews header, back post header, was really nice. Like not the kind of kid you expect to get up and be in a position to head that ball in, but AO.
He had no defender around him.
No defender, and AO had that's great vision on Aaron's part, right? To be able to just pop that ball over the top of the box and find Kevin on the far side with totally unmarked. So that was really great. Keys to victory, John. Victory it was. So what were the keys, and how did we do against those criteria?
The first one was keep it fresh, and I think you saw that in not only the starting lineup, like Troy getting a start, Jack Berry coming in for Jonah. You saw not a ton of changes from there, but when you go into the bench, Aiden O'Driscoll, Ruiz Plaza, Gato, AO, a lot of inclusion of guys that weren't maybe necessarily habitually rostered in some of these games. Getting their opportunity to get some of that valuable playing time if their number is called later on in the season. And we'll talk a little bit about that later on. But I think we kept it fresh. Number two was show them our game. I think that they found out real fast what a possession style based soccer that we want to play is different than what we have on a surface that it can be deployed on than what they got from us in our first game. Even though the first game was 3-0, they were very tired, and I mean they were chasing around their striker, who I thought was I hadn't seen him on the team sheet. Macari up top, I thought he was really good. Had really good when he got the ball finally and had anyone to help him. Really good hold up play. Fought really hard with Jack and Max for 90 minutes, which is a tough thing to do. But even him, like when we scored that goal in the first half, I mentioned on the broadcast, pretty much every guy from Sioux Falls had their head down, hands on hips. Hands on knees, just like, oh man, like we still have a whole other half of this and they just scored. So I think we showed them our game. And then number three was keep a clean sheet. We talked about maybe some early communication issues with Troy in the back line that got cleaned up. Outside of those, Troy did what he had to do to notch another shutout. So nice. I would say A for effort on all those.
Yeah. Well, with only 4 regular season games left, Minneapolis City is getting close to the deciding game that could clinch a title for our NPSL team as well. Let's take a look around the league. Let's see how that could play out. As we know, Minneapolis City sits atop of the table, 8 games played, 8 wins, 0 losses. We've got 31 goals for. We've got 6 goals against. That's a pretty hefty goal differential of 25. We are definitely number one. Aren't we ranked the number 1 team in the NPSL?
We currently are, yes.
Yes, based on that goal differential. The other 2 undefeated teams are Christos out of Baltimore, amazingly storied team that I would say is a role model to Minneapolis City, and then Milwaukee Torrent, who
literally plays nobody. I'm just gonna throw that out
there. Yeah, doesn't have the best competition out there, and I thought they were supposed to be in our league, but I guess things changed over the COVID time period, and now
hey, when you can go to another conference that doesn't have as much talent in it,
much
from
weaker
a team perspective, it's much weaker. Might as well do it.
Yeah. So City top of the NPSL North, Duluth in second place currently. They're a game behind. They've only played 7 games. They're still a little slow on this, but they've got 5 wins, 2 losses thanks to that stunner loss against Sioux Falls, which is really, I think, going to make the difference on this season as it plays out. Med City just dropped 2 in a row to Duluth. The home and away both came out in Duluth's favor, so they are also sitting at 5-3. But they've played 8 games. Oh yeah, they've 5-3. So they played 8 games. They played 1 game more than Duluth, and so they're in third place. Neither of those teams have great goal differential. Duluth 10, Med City 7, and then you get Joy of the People, fourth place, 3 wins, 4 losses, and a draw. And then Sioux Falls, Dakota, and Eris wind out that table. We worked it out, John, last week. The magic number to win this league is 29, right? 28. And with a game coming up against Eris that we will, but maybe we shouldn't chalk up as a W, we either need to find 1 point in 3 games then, or hope that Duluth drops a game to Joy next week. And if we're 9-0 going into that going into that Duluth game next Wednesday with 27 points, and Duluth ends the weekend, if they lose to Joy, they end the weekend 5-3 with 4 games left to play. That's it. It's over. Like, even if they swept the rest of the games, including beating us in Duluth, we most likely will win the league on goal differential. Now,
well, and 27 points guarantees you it to be in the conversation to make the playoffs as well. So,
right.
So this game on Saturday for us against La Crosse is not one that we can overlook, because we could get caught, and then you're looking at having to fight out the next 2-3 games, which are ones we don't want to have to fight on.
Yeah.
and so if we can get that 27th point, then we're guaranteed at least in the conversation. And then I don't think that Duluth has, so they have 5 games remaining. That would be 15. They have 4.
Yeah,
they'll have 4 by the end of the weekend. Right. And we'll have 3.
Yeah.
So the possibility, depending upon how it goes with Joy, they have a possibility of getting 30 possible points if they sweep. If they drop points, then we're looking at them not having the ability to catch us on goal differential if we win. But they could tie us, and they could get the head-to-head back if they beat us in Duluth. So we just got to win on Saturday and hope Joy does something.
Which would be, Joy is a good home team. I mean, they put 2 past us in front of their home crowd. They can be dangerous. We'll see. And they did put 3 past Duluth in Duluth. Like, I don't know, something about their style of play. Like, the Duluth center backs, the Duluth backline was chasing their forwards quite a bit.
Yeah.
I think the most likely scenario, John, is we're going to have the opportunity to potentially clinch the league Wednesday in Duluth if we beat Eris this weekend on Saturday, and then we go up and beat Duluth in Duluth. They have no chance of catching us. Yep, that's it.
Or we just have to get a result. We don't have to win. But
that sets up a wonderful homecoming, July 10th at the Nelly. So that'll be really exciting. City sitting really pretty. I made up that rhyme just now. At this point in the season, I'd say we have a pretty good idea of who Eris is. 0 wins, 5 losses, 2 draws. They've really fought hard for those draws against Joy and Sioux Falls, but so far have had no luck elevating their game against the conference as a whole. I don't know, after a few victories sprinkled here and there over the last couple of seasons, foolishly perhaps, I thought this could be a good year for them, like all things considered. But so far not the case. No victories coming out of the Eris camp quite yet, and I don't think that their schedule provides any opportunities to squeak one out before the end of the season.
Yeah, I totally agree with you, Nate. I was really excited for Eris this year because I kind of got wind that they had some good pickups from player perspective, personnel perspective. Some quality returners were coming back. Some of them I actually haven't seen yet, but they are on the roster. Excuse me. But it's same shit, different day, man. And you have to believe it's probably top down, an organizational problem. And to me, it's mind-boggling that it's lasted this long. You know. But anyways, here's the 2020 for those guys. But before we close out 2021, we have to play this game. So look for Eris to do what I believe is the same thing they did in our away match this season. Sit back super deep, perhaps even deeper this time. Try to ride that wave out as long as possible before trying to nick one on the counter. That's really all that they had in the first meeting and all that they've kind of had in all these other matches that they've played. And it worked in 2 of 7. So hopefully it doesn't work on Saturday. But I think it's actually a wrong move of theirs, because they have a few nice pieces in the mix that I think can play, and it's got to be frustrating for them with a tactic that's just kind of deployed to just be bunkered down with restrictions. Like, at this point, wouldn't you just want to play and not? I mean, what are you playing for at this point? Another loss by opening it up and maybe trying to score some goals doesn't mean anything other than team morale and organizational morale. So why not? So we could see that, but I believe it'll be a little bit more of the former, where it's going to be more bunkered down, because that's what we've seen almost every game, waiting for that second half to come. As far as keys of victories go, I think play to our potential. And the reason why I say that is because although we are sitting undefeated, I still think that, and I mentioned it briefly in the Thunder recap, I do still feel as if there's some ideas floating around the headquarters that we can be even better than we are, and we're playing down to some of our competition. And we need to quickly dispel that out of our brains and just start to gear up to get ready to be dominant as soon as the whistle blows. So I think we really need to play up to our potential, even if we're looking at the last place team. I think it's even more so important that we do it now, and we get that confidence booster in before we start to close out the season. And what is a tough way to close out our season, having to play the second, third, and fourth place teams. That's not easy to do, but we're going to have to do it. So might as well get one last confidence boost moving into those games. I think number two, probably going to see some fresh faces. I think the key on this one is playoff job interviews. I think it's an opportunity for guys to really cement their names into the ability to have Coach Van Benschoten and the staff really have to take a hard look at who they're going to include in their game day 18 when it comes to a potential playoff match. I say potential. I feel as if we're going to be able to gather 3 points in the next 3 games somehow, to be able to hit that mark. And maybe there's some other stuff that shakes out, but I don't want to say that we're definitely going to make the playoffs, obviously. But you have to start thinking about that kind of stuff now. And then number 3, keep a clean sheet. Don't let anything stupid happen. If we are to get into the playoffs again, we're going to need to continue to have that goal differential go in the right direction. So this one is absolutely a game for us to do that at, because I don't see us all of a sudden lighting the score sheet up against any of our final 3 games on 5+ goals.
Right.
And potentially giving up none. Those teams all have goal scorers.
For sure. And that's the case, like you said. Like we're finishing up the season against the second, third, and fourth place team after Eris. Everyone else is, when you look at Med City, when you look at Duluth is finishing it up against Eris, Dakota, Sioux Falls.
Yeah.
The bottom 3, right? So they had kind of planned it that way, obviously, and they had definitely hoped to be able to get that late run, start late, finish strong, was I think their mantra, it seems. And so we just have to make sure that is off the table as we start strong, middle strong, finish strong all the way through, undefeated. Let's do it.
Strong. So kickoff is scheduled for 6:00 at the Nelly. Head on over to mplscitysc.com for tickets right now, and we'll see you Saturday. Also, after the game, post-game party at UPSL Brewing Company. So head on over there, celebrate with the team and the fans. Hopefully, don't want to count our chickens here before they're hatched. But head on over for the post-game party and support one of our sponsors. So coming off the heels of that one, it would not be an NPSL season if at the turn Duluth was not coming up in our rearview mirror or us coming up on their rearview mirror. And it honestly is what I feel makes this all fun, because you have that rival that you're always keeping tabs on, circling key dates. We play them, or games that they play that, we're hoping someone kind of pulls off of a steal of points. Cough, cough, Joy Athletic this weekend.
Yeah, go for it.
So they're fresh off a 4-1 away win versus Med City, and that's an impressive win. Though I don't give them 100% of the credit for a 4-0 win on the road against Med City currently, because I feel like Med City is completely out of gas. I think that they came out hot and they caught lightning in a bottle and had a favorable schedule. And then that defining game was when we beat them 2-0, and it was really not a contest.
And that was
I
it.
think that was it. And then they go to Duluth. They kind of put up a fight in Duluth, but then Duluth just had a little bit more left in the tank. And then the rubber match comes, 4 days later, whatever it was. And then Duluth just had more power. And so I think they're trending in the wrong direction, which is why I don't give Duluth 100% credit for that second victory of a scoreline of 4-1. But they're a good quality team. They're made up of they're a different makeup than they have been in the past. However, they do still have that decent shot stopper in Daly. We saw him make some fantastic saves against us. He hasn't been leaking in goals anywhere. They have been giving up a few where they're kind of like whatever goals, when it's 4-1, you're like, whatever, we still have a 3-goal cushion. But there have been some more closer games where he has gotten scored on, which I think could have been maybe a backline issue. They have their talisman up top and Sydney Warden, and they have the supporting cast that'll just fight you like hell for 90 minutes. So, they're going to be up for it, and they have some tools that they can play with. So, if you didn't see the first game, go back and watch it, on our Minneapolis City YouTube channel, and you'll see that they do have some really, really nice pieces. To top it off, like we mentioned, the game Saturday if it goes well for us this week, it sets up another tasty can City beat Duluth in Duluth for a title match, which is awesome. However, if by some chance Joy can pull it together at home and they get that W, we talked about the scenarios, it might make things a little bit easier. Although going up there, we want to beat them at their house. Like there's no ifs, ands, or buts about that. But It could potentially make it a little bit easier if that weren't to happen and maybe it's a stalemate. Then we're still able to hoist the trophy if they can actually do something this weekend against Duluth.
Well, John, this is, like I said at the start of the show, this is the time of the season where I start to get nervous again when it means that we have to go up against Duluth and Med City to make sure that we are cementing our hold on that trophy and our playoff spot. But like we did the math, I think it's looking favorable. We just got to make sure that the team is ready to rock, man, and ready to finish strong. I think, like you said, we'll see some nice rotation on Saturday. That'll give us the best chance on Wednesday to go up to Duluth with energized legs. And hopefully we'll be able to take 3 points from them at home.
Yeah, absolutely. So keys to victory, number one, I'll use a little American football analogy here. Put a hat on Warden.
No kidding.
Don't the guy's leading the country in goals right now in the summer season with 10, scored 2 against us at home, and really was the only bright spot for them in the game, the first matchup. So he's been scoring about a goal and a half a game since then. Might want to make sure we know where that guy is whenever the ball's in our defensive third. So that's number one. Number two is test the goalkeeper early. I think that we didn't really do that in the first matchup, and we didn't really tire him out with all of the opportunities I think we could have had in the first half. And then he still had a lot left in the tank himself to be able to make some pretty fantastic saves in the second half. So if we can maybe start testing him early, keep him on his toes, and get some early shots, maybe some from distance too, just kind of varying it up a little bit. But let's test them early. And then number three, I think this one is it's typical in a Duluth game. Just do whatever it takes. This has big implications for our club. So just go out there and fight, and whatever it takes to get it done. If it means going away from our style because we have an opportunity to capitalize, do it. We are not at the point now where we need to be relying on, we'll just score one in the second half if we have the opportunity to do it in the first half, or in the second half, passing up maybe that opportunity to put something on frame to test the goalkeeper and pull it back to keep possession. We got to start taking care of our business.
Yeah, that's for sure. Well, John, there's going to be a watch party coming up. If you don't want to make the drive, come on to Ute Pills on Wednesday, the 28th.
30th.
I don't.
It's the 30th.
30th? Yeah, the 30th. I got to get my calendar right. Yeah, Wednesday the 30th. Wednesday the 30th, come on up to UPSL. I think we'll be there for the watch party. I will, at least.
I will not. I will be back in the good land.
Oh, that's great. For starting your 4th of July holiday early, that's fine with me.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, I was hoping to catch a Torrent game, and then they're on the road against fucking Indiana.
Oh,
and I was like, of course, you're playing one of the last place teams on the road. Why couldn't you play at home so I can do a little scouting report?
no kidding.
I'm not going to Indiana, I can tell you that, because I try to avoid that state at all costs.
Well, come on up to UPSL and watch the game with me, at least, and some other City fans. That'll be happening on Wednesday the 30th. Kickoff is 7 p.m. We'll have it up on the big screen. We'll be drinking beers and having a good time.
Party water.
And that is all for this week's show. Thank you to the new show sponsor, footballstadiumprints.com. Summer is here. We can go out in public again, and it's high time you were seen repping your favorite club in a truly unique way. Head on over to footballstadiumprints.com and grab yourself a new shirt or 3 that feature amazing prints of some of the greatest stadiums in soccer, including the Nelly, home of the Crows. And shirts aren't all. What's better, City fans can head over to footballstadiumprints.com and use the code CROWS10, 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 and save 10% off your orders. You can rock the home of the Crows and maybe the rest of your favorite soccer teams on your shirt, your wall, your mugs, anywhere really. So thanks again to our friends at footballstadiumprints.com. They ship all orders from here in the U.S. so you avoid any international shipping charges. Super easy to order, footballstadiumprints.com. If giving back to the community means a lot to you, maybe it's time to give to the club that gives back. Minneapolis City is a 501c3 that provides a safe, reliable, and fun environment for young people to play the beautiful game, like through the Futures Program Scholarship Fund. Consider a tax-deductible donation to a true city-focused organization. Yo, the season is in full swing, and we're tossing a lot of soccer news your way. But if there's something you think we missed, go ahead and send us mail just like Bryn. Hit us up on Twitter at The People's Pitch or email us at mcscpodcast@gmail.com. All questions, comments, and concerns are welcome. And, of course, you can always complain to the club at MPLS City SC on Twitter. Thanks for joining us this week. That does it. I have been Nate. That has been John. It's another double game week. Saturday and then Wednesday. And that's going to mean 2 more reasons to celebrate, guaranteed. We will see you at the Nelly this weekend for MC2 and Minneapolis City.
And
you got hoofed.
Drink some party water.